What is going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's video. So listen up. It's a pretty crazy week in the stock market, and I don't usually generally do videos on trending topics, but I thought that this was a part of my week. This was a part of what happened in my life this week, so I thought I'd share. Now, there have been a bunch of videos, there's been a bunch of opinions, there's been a bunch of stuff about what happened with GameStop stock, that's hard to say, and Wall Street Bets, the Reddit community. So it's really been an interesting ride, honestly, for everybody involved. But no one's done a real, true breakdown of what happened with this in a sense that I think a lot of people can relate to and understand, just a layman's terms sort of video. So I wanted to break it down for anyone who is kind of interested in what the hell is happening and just see what actually occurred this week and what is going to continue to occur into next week, with an analogy that I think is pretty appropriate and I haven't seen anyone else do. So everyone's kind of made analogies with different things, different ideas of, oh, this was what happened and it's like this, but no one's used this analogy, or if they have, I haven't seen it. So I thought I'd use this one and just kind of break it down for everybody who's not really in the know, not really in the loop. Now, before we get into any of this, I just wanted to make it abundantly clear that I am literally retarded. I do not give financial advice. I am not giving advice in the stock market whatsoever. And I wanted to make that perfectly clear. I am not a lawyer. I am not a financial expert. I'm just a moron on the internet with an opinion and access to different facts and different data sets that kind of help me form this idea, this opinion of what is happening. So that being said, let's get into it. A couple of months ago, GameStop stock, hey, said it right this time, was tanking. It was going down to almost nothing. And this was something that was, it's a common technique in hedge funds to short a stock, which means that they will buy it at one price and then hold on to that stock while they buy it. The original person that they bought it from, they have to pay it back to that person. They're short selling it. So what they'll do is they'll buy it at a certain price, get a better price for it on the market, then they make money by getting the price for the stock because the price of the stock went up in the time from when they bought it from that first person, and then they sell it back to the market. So they make profit on the fluctuation in the valuation of the stock in the time that they're holding it. So that's kind of what the basis of this is, short selling. Now, the analogy that I was talking about that I want to get into is actually appropriate, I think, because it's similar. Now, it's not, again, this is my opinion. I'm a moron. Don't listen to me. Whatever. It's similar to me to what happened late last year with the gaming companies, Nvidia and Microsoft with their Xbox and Sony with their PlayStation. These three companies released products that were hot as fire. Everybody wanted them. They were truly next generation, and at least in the case of Nvidia, they offered double the performance in terms of the graphics cards that they released for their video games, double the performance at about the same price or even less prices than the current generation products. So they were fire. Everybody was jumping to get these things. Like, I want it now. And the demand was seen, obviously, because the products were announced and then they were released. The demand was seen beforehand, before the products actually came out. And what happened in a lot of these cases is that what they call bots or scalpers or whatever have you went through and literally bought out all of the entire stock, not the stock market, but the product stock of these products as soon as they came out. So Nvidia released their 3000 series and it was gone, like announced and then released. The moment it was released, it was sold out pretty much everywhere. And it's still actually months later to a point where it's still pretty hard to get some of these products. The PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and the Nvidia 30 series, RTX 30 series. Still hard to get them. And the reason why is because what they did was scalping happened. So computers, bots bought all these products as the minute they were released. Then the classic scenario, like any market, supply and demand existed. Demand greatly outweighed supply, and the price then for graphics cards that were in Xboxes and PlayStations that were originally selling for, let's just say $700, they were being sold on the aftermarket by people who actually had them in stock because you couldn't get them anywhere else for double or triple or even quadruple what they originally sold for. I mean, that first week of 30 series being released, I saw eBay listings for the RTX 3070 or whatever it was, the 30, yeah, I think it was the 3070, being sold for like 5 times its original price, which is insane. But the market will determine the price for the product. It's supply and demand. If people have the money and the product is selling, why wouldn't you sell it at that price? I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's the way that market works. So here's my retarded analogy, right? So what I'm saying is that this is a similar scenario to what occurred last week with GameStop, and it occurred months in advance of this, but really that it came heavily into everyone's ideas last week, is that the stock had been shorted, and it was major portions of the stock, estimation somewhere 70-80% of the stock was that it was shorted. And what happened is that someone on Reddit, a Reddit user, actually noticed this and said, "Hey, wait a minute! They're planning to hedge that. They're planning to short the stock and artificially drive it up and make profits and kind of tank it. All these market manipulation sort of things that hedge fund investors typically do." So he kind of banded together with a Reddit community and several other people that joined independently as well. And they started investing and buying in the stock and driving the price up. So this is not what we want to have happen, because if you think about it, say it's the same scenario with the graphics card, right? Let's take the just the NVIDIA 3080, right? Very few of them in the original months, and even to this day, very few of them were available. So the supply was low, demand was high, and price could be set wherever it wanted to be set. This is really similar to what happened with GameStop stock, because the demand was high because it was a low price. So they were buying it at a low price, and it continued to drive up. Now, where this problem comes for the hedge fund investors is that, remember that time period I was saying where they make the money on the back end from holding on to the stock and then selling it back, or paying back the original person that they shorted it from? There's a time period on that, and you have to pay that person back at the stock valuation price. So if you've made your money on the price fluctuating in the back end, now suddenly you can't cover the short that you originally purchased. So the price went from around $20 to, as of market close yesterday, $325. So you can imagine the amount of money that it's coming up to be owed. And what's interesting now is that going into next week, this is where we're going to see some really interesting things happening. Because this is where the short squeeze is really going to come into play. Because now it's still a small amount, maybe somewhere, I've seen different estimations, but maybe 10% of that stock is owned by non-hedge fund investor shareholders that have bought in the last couple of weeks, and they own this stock at the prices where it's at now, and they won't sell. Now, what the investors need is for them to sell so that they can cover their shorts. But that's if everyone holds, which that's the plan right now, then those shorts can't be covered. So it's a really interesting dynamic. It's crazy how really it's pretty simple. So to me it was kind of like, oh wow, the stock market, this and that and this and that. It's a pretty simple concept, and it seems like it's been exposed, and so much so that the whole discussion about kind of the do as I say, not as I do concept comes into play here with the places like Robinhood that you may have seen, which actually stopped allowing trading in GameStop, and a couple of other brokerages who just shut it off and said, no, you can't buy it anymore. There are people whining, Wall Street investors whining about, oh, this is ridiculous, you can't do this, but it's all completely legal. It's the same thing that they're doing. So they really got screwed. So anyway, that's my take on it. I hope that made sense. If it doesn't, drop a comment and maybe ask a question. I'll be happy to try and answer it. But again, that's my simple take on this, kind of complex situation. And I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts and see what everybody thinks about it. So kind of a crazy week, and it'll be interesting to watch and continue to watch next week and see where the stock price goes. But if those shorts come up to be called, what the scenario is going to be is the stock price will continue to rise, and the original investor who went into this with, I think, somewhere around $50,000 investment he has now over 50 million in invested in the valuation of GameStop. So absolutely nuts, crazy to watch, absolutely fun to watch, and definitely want to check it out and see where things have been and where they're going to go next week. See how this whole thing shakes out and develops. So thank y'all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, just please give it a like, comment, subscribe, and hope to see y'all in the next one. Peace out.